Hello and welcome to Ohio EPA's 2022 Virtual Compliance Assistance Conference. My name is Leanne Greenlee and I'm with the Division of Materials and Waste Management here at Ohio EPA. And I will be moderating the Construction and Demolition Debris, C&DD, Processing Facilities, New Regulations, and Program Overview session. Ohio EPA's 2022 Virtual Compliance Assistance Conference has 24 sessions over 2 weeks. Today, this is the final of 3 sessions focusing on programs within the Division of Materials and Waste Management. Registration information and a conference agenda are located on Ohio EPA's conference webpage. We hope you are able to join us for additional conference sessions which resume next week. Please remember, it's never too late to sign up for the next conference session, and all sessions are being recorded for you to view later. Before we get started, we would like to point your attention to one of today's environmental fun facts. Did you know Ohio EPA can assist with no-fault scrap tire cleanups? The No-Fault Cleanup Program is open to citizens, businesses, and local governments that meet program requirements. In state fiscal year 2020, the No-Fault Scrap Tire Program completed 159 projects, safely removed more than 161,000 tires, and provided more than 616,000 in funding. You can scan the QR code with your smartphone on this slide to learn more about this program and eligibility requirements. And with that, I would like to turn it over to our presenter, Allie Fair, within our Construction and Demolition Debris Unit with the Division of Materials and Waste Management. Allie provides coordination and support activities, compliance monitoring, and technical assistance to health departments in the regulated community regarding C&DD processing facilities and landfills. She has worked for Ohio EPA for 7 years, the last 3 of which has been in the C&DD unit. We also have subject matter experts Ann Gerhardt and Barry Chapman behind the scenes answering questions. Allie?
Thanks, Leanne. Like Leanne said, we're going to talk about construction and demolition debris processing facilities here. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Okay, so we are going to start with a poll. It's an easy question. What sector do you work in? So your options are consulting, health department, C&DD processing facility, state or local government, or other.
All right, I have launched the poll. Please select your response and click submit. All right, we are getting a large number of people responding. If you haven't responded yet, go ahead and submit your response and we will close the poll in a few moments. We are now closing the poll, and let me share the results with everyone.
All right, looks like we have a good mix of people, a lot in the other category too. So hopefully this information will be helpful for everybody on the call or on the webinar. All right, so C&DD processing facility rules. Why do we have these rules now? So over the past decade, there have been a couple of sites that have been poorly managed. We've had issues with neighbors, issues with fires, lots of stuff going on. We've had to use state funds to clean up some of these sites. So because of that, the 132nd General Assembly passed Senate Bill 2, which gave Ohio EPA the authority and the direction to develop regulations for C&DD processing facilities. So we developed the rules that I'm going to talk about today. So what is C&DD processing? Well, it's any handling of construction and demolition debris for the purposes of separating the debris into individual types of materials as a commodity for use in a beneficial manner that does not constitute disposal. So handling includes receipt, storage, and movement of CNDD from vehicles or containers to a working surface. So a CNDD processing facility is any site, location, tract of land, installation, or building that is used or intended to be used for the purpose of processing, transferring, or recycling CNDD that was generated off the premises of the processing facility. So if you're doing any processing, transferring, recycling that is on the premises of the demolition site or the construction site, that is not included as a CNDD processing facility. And then there's a couple of other things that are not included if your site is already a licensed solid waste transfer facility, a licensed solid waste landfill, or a licensed CNDD landfill, as long as processing of mixed CNDD occurs in the unloading zone only. Then you do not need to be a CNDD processing facility. There are two other exclusions that are written into rule. So a CNDD processing facility that consists solely of containers with an aggregate volume of 50 cubic yards or less of CNDD, as long as that CNDD is not placed on a working surface or on any equipment used to separate the CNDD into individual types of materials. So this exclusion is designed for very small operations. The second exclusion is the transporting of portable containers of CNDD from a location to a CNDD facility or processing facility, as long as the CNDD remains in the containers and is not stored for more than 7 days. So this exclusion is aimed at dumpster businesses that might need to have a dumpster on site for a few days before it can go to a landfill. So if you don't meet one of these exclusions, then you probably are a CNDD processing facility. So we have two different types of processing facilities that have different sets of rules. So the first type is a standalone processing facility, and that is any processing facility that is not located within the facility boundary of a licensed CNDD facility or a CNDD landfill. So rules for standalone processing facilities became effective on April 18th, and they are in the Ohio Administrative Code 3745-400-50 through 60. The other type of processing facility are co-located processing facilities. So those are processing facilities that are located wholly within the facility boundary of a licensed CNDD landfill. Rules for co-located processing facilities became effective on July 4th, and those rules are mixed into existing CNDD landfill rules in the rules that are listed here. So permitting and licensing requirements for processing facilities. So it depends on what type of processing facility we're talking about. Standalone processing facilities need to have a permit to install, or a PTI, and a PTI will last for 5 years before it expires, and then the owner or operator will need to get another PTI, and they also need to get a license every year. Co-located processing facilities only need to get a license. Application forms for all of those can be found on Ohio EPA's website on the link here. But I'm also going to just show you really quickly how to find that on our website. So this is the main Ohio EPA homepage. It's epa.ohio.gov, or you can just go to Google and type Ohio EPA and you should get here. So from here, you can just scroll down until you see this section called Our Divisions. You can hit that arrow until you find Materials and Waste Management. When you click on that, you're going to get to the DIMWIM homepage. And then if you're on the desktop, you're going to find on the left side, permits, registrations, and licensing. If you're on your phone, it's going to probably be in a different location, but you should still have the same menu options. So you'll click on permits, registration, and licensing. And it'll take you to this page with a couple of options. So for co-located processing facilities, you're going to click on the CNDD facility licensing tile. That's where licensing information for CNDD landfills is, and that is also where the co-located processing facility licensing information is. For standalone processing facilities, they have their own tile, and that's where you're going to find permit to install and license applications and information. So once you have your applications filled out, you're going to submit them to your permitting or licensing authority. So that's either going to be the local Board of Health if they are approved, or it's going to be Ohio EPA. And in the application forms, there's an instruction section which gives you information about how to figure out who your permitting authority and your licensing authority is. So if Ohio EPA is your permitting and licensing authority, then you're going to submit those directly to us. You can either mail them in to the address that's listed in the application forms, or you can submit them electronically from this link, which I'll also show you where that is on our website. So this is the main homepage for DIMWIM. Before we clicked over here on permits, registration, and licensing. So if you go just a little further down, you'll see the DIMWIM electronic file submission. And then once you click on that, everyone can submit their applications to central office. So you don't have to worry about what district you are in. If Ohio EPA is not your permitting or licensing authority, then you will need to submit your application to your approved health department. So you will need to contact your health department to see how they want you to submit it. All right, so now we're going to talk about standalone processing facilities specifically for a little bit, and then we'll talk about co-located ones after that. So for an existing standalone processing facility, so that's any standalone processing facility that was in operation before April 18th of this year, that's when the rules came out, they need to apply for their initial PTI and license by October 18th. So that's coming up. Hopefully you already knew about this deadline, but this is a very important date. Make sure you are aware. October 18th. So the PTI application, we're going to go through what all needs to be included with that application. So there's a PTI application form, and then in addition, we need the application fee of $1,000, the processing facility design plan, fire prevention and response plan, and a draft of the financial assurance mechanism. So let's go into each of those in a little bit more detail. So the application fee is due at the time when you submit your application. And then there will also be a permit issuance fee of $2,000 that will be due within 30 days of the PTI being issued. The processing facility design plan is a big part of the application, and it needs to be signed and sealed by a professional engineer registered in Ohio. The requirements are listed in this rule, and I'm also going to go through them with you here. So there are 5 parts to the processing facility design plan. First is the cover sheet. That just asks for basic information like names and addresses and a basic map of where the processing facility is. The second part asks for some more general information and then also starting to get into specifics of road structures, houses, water supply wells, that sort of stuff that's either on the property of the processing facility or within 500 feet of the horizontal limits of C&DD processing. So we're looking at both inside of where you're going to be processing and nearby. The third part of the design plan is going to be more specifics about how your processing facility is set up and the layout. So we need to see where you're going to be processing, where you're going to have piles of material, storage piles, roads, fencing, if you need visual barriers, where those are going to be, and then some details about your stormwater controls. The fourth part is detailed drawings. So these are things that we just want to see in a little bit more specifics. So roads need to be all weather. So I want to see those detailed drawings of the roads. The stormwater controls again, visual barriers. So if that's going to be fencing, trees, what are you using for visual barriers? And then what does your working surface look like? And the last part of the design plan are design calculations. So we ask for the maximum rate of processing that your processing facility can handle. And then the maximum volume in cubic yards of mixed C&DD that you will ever have on your site at any one time. This number is a number that you determine based on, how your business operates, whether you go through and process all of your material the day that it arrives, or whether maybe you have a large contract and you're going to bring a lot of material on site and then you're going to process it. So it depends on how you operate. But keep in mind that this number here, the maximum volume of mixed C&DD, is going to come into play again when we talk about financial assurance. And then the last calculation is for stormwater controls. So the next part of your PTI application is the fire prevention and response plan. So information that we ask for in here, first is the emergency contact information. So who has the keys to the gate that we can call it, or the fire department can call at 2 a.m. if there's an issue. The second part is a letter from your local fire department that says that they will respond to fires at your processing facility. So we want the local fire department to be aware that your processing facility exists and what kind of operation it is, so that there are no surprises if they ever need to respond to your facility. We also want to know, what are your guidelines for handling debris that is burning? So do you have a laydown area? Are you going to use water or soil, or what are you going to do to take care of debris that is burning? The next part is, what are your procedures for responding to a fire? So who's going to call 911? Who's going to get the fire extinguisher? Who's going to get the water truck? What all needs to happen at your site, and who's going to do it? And then we want to know what fire control equipment, material, or services you have available. So do you have fire hydrants? Do you have fire pumps? Do you have a pond that you can use? That sort of thing. We want to know what your maintenance schedules are for maintaining your fire control equipment. So it's great if you have a fire extinguisher in your office, but if nobody's touched it for 10 years, we don't know that it's going to work if you need it. So we want to see that, the equipment is being maintained and is going to be usable when it's needed. And then the last part of this plan is a map that shows the location of your fire hydrants and any other fire control equipment. And then the last part of the PTI application is a draft of the financial assurance mechanism. So financial assurance needs to be funded before the initial license is issued. So with the PTI, we just need to see the draft. And that means we need to see the cost estimate and a form that is specific to your chosen mechanism. So we'll go through the cost estimate and what the mechanism options are. So your financial assurance cost estimate is the sum of two fixed dollar amounts. And those are based on, the first one is based on the size of your processing facility, and the second one is based on the maximum volume of mixed CNDD that you are going to have on site at any time. So that's that number from your processing facility design plan that I pointed out earlier. So you'll add those together, and that will be your cost estimate that you will have to fund. If your total cost estimate equals $5,500 or less, you do not need financial assurance. So that first number that goes into your cost estimate is the fixed dollar amount based on the size of your processing facility. But it's not the size of your entire processing facility. It is the size of the horizontal limits of CNDD processing. So that's anywhere that you have mixed CNDD, anywhere where you're storing it, processing it, that sort of thing. That will be defined in your design plan as well. So you just, whatever size your horizontal limits of CNDD processing are, then you will need to fund the amount in that row that lines up. So that's the first part. The second part of your financial assurance cost estimate is based on your maximum volume of mixed CNDD, this number from your design plan. So you're going to take that maximum volume and you're going to multiply it by $35. And that's going to be the second part of your cost estimate. So you'll add those two numbers together and that's your total cost estimate. So for the PTI application, you just have to basically calculate what your cost estimate is and then decide what mechanism you want to use. So these are the mechanism options that you have. 3 of them also require a standby trust fund, so keep that in mind. And then the choice of what mechanism to use is completely up to you. It depends on what assets you have, what kind of relationship you might have with the bank, what your credit situation is. So any of these are equally good in the eyes of Ohio EPA, and it's just up to you as to which one you want to use. Okay, so that was the PTI application. Now we're going to jump and talk about this license application, still talking about standalone processing facilities. So in addition to the license application form, there will be an application fee of $100, and you will have to show that you've funded your financial assurance, and then you will need to provide a certified operator information. So this application fee is also due at the time when you submit your application, and there will also be a license issuance fee of $650, and that's due within 30 days of the license being issued. Certified operator. So you need to have a certified operator that is reasonably available each day during operation. There is an option to use an interim operator as well. So in the application form, we ask for the name and the certified operator ID number for your certified operator, or if you're using an interim operator, just their name. So certified operator, in order to be a certified operator, there are some qualifications you have to meet. The first is 12 months of relevant work experience. The second is you need to attend 10 credit hours of approved education training. And once you have that, you can apply for certification, which lasts for 1 year. And then you'll need to reapply after that each year. So if your processing facility, if you don't have a certified operator, because it does take some time to take those classes, get those education requirements, you do have the option of using an interim operator. So you can have an interim operator at your processing facility for up to 365 days. There is a notification form that you need to fill out on our website that you will need to submit to notify Ohio EPA that you are using an interim operator. It's a pretty basic form. And the point of the interim operator is to allow time to get a certified operator, either for someone to get the education hours they need or to hire someone who is already certified. But the interim operator is just supposed to be a temporary person until you can get a certified operator. All right, time for our second poll. So the second question is, how long do PTIs last for standalone processing facilities? So your options are 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, or forever.
All right, I have launched the poll. Please select your response and click submit. It looks like almost 70% of the participants have responded. If you have not responded, please go ahead and submit your response now, and we will close the poll in a few moments. We are closing the poll now, and let me share the results with everyone.
All right, it looks like most people picked 5 years, which is the correct answer. That's great. So if you picked something else, that's all right. But now you know 5 years for PTI or standalone processing facilities. Okay, so now we're going to talk about co-located processing facilities and what is required for them. So existing co-located processing facilities, which is any that were in operation before July 4th, which is when those rules came out, they need to apply for their initial license by December 31st of this year. So that's the key date for co-located processing facilities. The C&DD landfill that has a co-located processing facility, the landfill license application is still due tomorrow. So make sure that gets submitted, but the additional information for the co-located processing facility, you have until December 31st to submit that. So we're calling it the 2023 license addendum because this is an addendum to the C&DD landfill license application. So for a co-located processing facility, in addition to the license addendum form, You also need to include in your application an application fee of $100, your certified operator information, and this can be the same certified operator that you have for your CNDD landfill because they are on the same location. It can be the same person. There are some additional components of the construction design plan that are specific to your co-located processing facility that you need to include. You also need to add add to your financial assurance to account for the co-located processing facility and submit a fire prevention plan. So we'll go through those in more detail. So the application fee is due when you submit the application, and there will also be a license issuance fee of $650 due within 30 days of the license being issued. The construction design plan needs to be signed and sealed by a professional engineer registered in Ohio, just like what the standalone processing facilities needed. But the requirements for co-located processing facilities are in a different rule. They're in 3745-400-07. So the construction design plan already has a lot of information that is required for a CNDD landfill. So what I have here are just the additional pieces that need to be included for a co-located processing facility. Again, this is detailed drawings in addition to what is already required for the CNDD landfill in the construction design plan. But these are pretty much all the same pieces that we asked for the standalone processing facility. And then again, the same calculations. So this maximum volume of mixed CNDD is again going to be used for financial assurance. So make sure you think about that when you calculate that number. So financial assurance for the co-located processing facilities is a little bit different than for standalone because we are trying to keep it consistent with what was required for the CNDD landfill. So financial assurance needs to be funded within 30 days of license issuance for a co-located processing facility. And the cost estimate for a co-located processing facility is just based on that maximum volume of mixed CNDD number. So, but there are a couple of different dollar amounts that you might use as a multiplier depending on where your mixed CNDD is. So if all of your mixed CNDD is located within the active licensed disposal area of the CNDD landfill, then you're going to multiply your maximum volume of mixed CNDD by $4.25. For any mixed CNDD that is outside of the active licensed disposal area, but still within the facility boundary of your CNDD landfill, you're going to multiply that maximum volume by $8.25. And then the last dollar amount option is if the CNDD landfill does not have sufficient both constructed and certified airspace to dispose of the entire maximum volume of mixed CNDD, and then you will need to use $35 as your multiplier. In the license application, you do need to show a demonstration that your facility, that your CNDD landfill does have that sufficient airspace. And if you cannot provide that demonstration, you need to use the $35 rather than the $4.25 or the $8.25 option. The fire prevention plan for a co-located processing facility license application is very similar to the fire prevention and response plan that we already talked about for a standalone processing facility. We need the emergency contact information. For this plan, for a co-located processing facility, they need to send a letter to their local fire department to let them know that that processing facility exists, but they do not need to get a letter in return from the fire department. And this lines up with what's already required for the CNDD landfill. But we do also want to see what your guidelines are for handling debris that is burning. And what are your procedures for responding to a fire? What documentation do you have of your fire control equipment that's available? And then what is your maintenance schedule and documentation of maintenance on that fire control equipment? And then the map of your fire hydrants and other fire control equipment. Those are all the same that we already went over. Okay, we are on our third poll question now. So, which of the following types of processing facilities need to obtain an annual license? Your options are standalone processing facilities only, co-located processing facilities only, both standalone and co-located processing facilities, or none of these.
All right, I have launched the poll. Please select your response and click submit. If you have not responded, please go ahead and submit your response now, and we will close the poll in a few moments. All right, we are closing the poll now, and let me share the results.
All right, it looks like most people picked both standalone and co-located processing facilities, which is correct. Good job. So remember, standalone processing facilities need a PTI and a license. Co-located processing facilities only need a license. So both need a license. All right. Okay, so everything that I've talked to you about in this presentation have been what is required from DMWIM, the Division of Materials and Waste Management. But be aware that there are other divisions at Ohio EPA that you might need to obtain a permit from. So stormwater discharge permits from the Division of Surface Water. It's very common that you might need one of those, or an air permit. So you will need to talk to those divisions to make sure that you're getting not just what's required from the Division of Materials and Waste Management, but also from any other division of Ohio EPA that you need to get a permit from. And if you have no idea how to do that or who to talk to, then we recommend going to OCAT's, Office of Compliance Assistance and Pollution Prevention. Hopefully you've heard of them. They are organizing this conference. There are a bunch more presentations as part of this conference that might be really helpful if you think you might need an air permit or a stormwater permit, that you can go get some more information. So just know that there are possibly other permit requirements that might apply to both a standalone or co-located processing facility. So with that, I will give you all of the contact information for the C&DD unit. If you have any questions about anything that I talked about today or anything else C&DD related, you can reach out to any of us on here by phone or email, and we will get back to you as soon as we can. So with that, I can take questions if there's time.
Thank you, Allie. We do have time to go through some questions and answers. As a reminder, you can still submit questions through the question pane. We will do our best to answer as many questions as possible. If we don't answer your question during the Q&A portion, we will reach out to you via email following today's session. So we will go with the first submitted question, which is, what are the submittal deadlines for the initial applications for standalone and co-located processing facilities?
Great question. So October 18th is the deadline for standalone processing facilities, and December 31st is the deadline for co-located processing facilities.
Okay. Another question. When do I need to establish financial assurance?
So for standalone processing facilities, you need to establish and fund your financial assurance before your license is issued. For co-located processing facilities, you have 30 days after your license is issued to establish and fund your financial assurance.
Okay. How does someone become an interim operator?
So on Ohio EPA's website, we have a section for C&DD certified operator. And on that webpage, there's a form that's an interim operator notification form. So you just need to fill that out. It's only one page, and submit that to Ohio EPA. And that's all you need to do to become an interim operator.
Okay. Where would someone submit their applications if their health department is approved?
So that depends on the health department. And there's so many, I can't go through all of them. So if your health department is approved and they are your permitting and licensing authority, we recommend that you reach out to your health department directly and ask them how you should submit your application.
Okay. Next question is, can you repeat the exclusions to these requirements?
Yes. So there are two exclusions. One is for a processing facility that has an aggregate volume of 50 cubic yards or less of mixed C&DD. And the other is for mixed C&DD that is in containers and is stored for 7 days or less. And then for the 50 cubic yards or less exclusion, the mixed C&DD also needs to be in containers the entire time. So always containerized, but you can either have 50 cubic yards or less of mixed C&DD, or you can store it for 7 days or less.
Okay. Another one is, are PTI submitted to Ohio EPA or local health departments, and who retains the fee?
So it depends on if your local health department is approved or not. If your local health department is approved, then your PTI application is submitted to your local health department, and they would get the fee, and they will use that money to implement the program, to do your application review, do inspections, that sort of thing. If your local health department is not approved, then the application and the fee come to Ohio EPA.
Okay. Next question is, are the licensed CNDD facilities in all the counties listed somewhere on our website?
Yes, they are listed on our website. Keep in mind that there are no licensed CNDD processing facilities yet because nobody has been, we haven't hit the deadline for submitting those applications yet. But for CNDD facilities, which are the landfills, yes, there is a list on our website of licensed CNDD landfills.
Okay. Next one is, does a co-located processing facility need a separate sign from the landfill sign, or can it be one sign for the whole facility?
It can be one sign as long as everyone is entering through that same entrance. But if you have a different entrance where people are entering just to get to the processing facility, then we would like to see a sign specific to the processing facility at that entrance.
Okay. Another one is it okay to continue to operate an existing facility during the application process?
Yes. Yes, you can.
We have a couple questions related to eBiz. Do the processing facilities need an eBiz account, and are they able to submit applications through eBiz?
So for the first round of applications, we do not have this programmed into eBiz yet. So you do not need an eBiz account yet, and you cannot submit any of these applications through eBiz. We are working on that right now. We are hoping to be able to receive applications through eBiz for next year, but we will have to see how that process goes. So we will update everyone about whether that eBiz is ready next year or not. But for now, we don't have eBiz available. That's why you have to either mail your application in, or you can use the electronic file submission that I showed you on our website.
Okay. We do have another question pop in. The applications are due October 18th. What happens if the application is not submitted by the deadline on an actively operational facility?
So we're going to work with our health department inspectors and our district inspectors, and we're going to have someone come out to the processing facility, see what's going on, if they are still operating, and start the process of getting them to submit their application, or getting them starting to talk about closing the processing facility, depending on what their business plan is.
Okay. Another question is, are there any other fees required to operate a facility other than license fees?
So for a co-located processing facility, there are just license fees, the application fee and the issuance fee. For the standalone processing facility, there is also the permit application fee and issuance fee. Then there might be other things that might cost money. For example, having an engineer do your design plan, but there are no other fees that are due.
Okay, and then this will be our last question. Where can I find more information?
Ohio EPA's website has lots and lots of information. All the links that were in this PowerPoint should be accessible from the handout of the slides that is included here. And if you have trouble finding anything on our website, you can reach out to me or anyone else in the C&DD unit, and we can help you find anything you need.
Okay. Well, thank you, Allie, for the great presentation, and thank you, Anne and Barry, for helping with questions, and thank you, everyone, for attending this 2022 Virtual Compliance Assistance Conference session. Before we end the session today, we would like to point your attention to another one of today's environmental fun facts. Want to stay up to date on Ohio EPA news and info? Then subscribe to updates in the Customer Support Center. To receive notifications of upcoming webinars, newsletters, and other Ohio EPA training opportunities, please go to our Ohio EPA Customer Support Center and create an account. Within your account settings, select Subscribe to Updates and then select your subscription preferences. You can scan the QR code with your smartphone on this slide to get more information about our Customer Support Center features. Ohio EPA hosts a series of webinars throughout the year on a variety of environmental topics. This slide provides information on how to register for these upcoming webinars, where to find recordings of previous webinars, and how to sign up to receive notifications of upcoming webinars through our Ohio EPA Customer Support Center. And with that, we will end this session of Ohio EPA's 2022 Virtual Compliance Assistance Conference. We hope you are able to join us for other conference sessions. Thank you again for joining us, and have a great day.